Hey everyone, so we're closing out this season with a topic of thoughts and opinions and how we should respect one another in these tough times that we're living in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this podcast today. Welcome everyone to the season finale of the Bump Podcast. I'm your host Shamir, here with my co-host and beloved brother Nabil.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for this last episode of season 2. It's crazy. It's okay. It's
so
okay.
sentimental, man.
It'll be all right.
It's okay. We end a season and we start a new one. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. We love you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Turn on the ringle dingle dingle because next season is coming very soon as well. Follow us on our social platforms. As you guys heard in the beginning of the intro, we're going to be talking about different opinions, and
that's right.
Especially the times we're living in, all the the elections just around the corner.
Yeah, people are early voting and everything.
People are wreaking havoc with their words. It's definitely a touchy subject we're going to hit today. And I thank God that today we're definitely talking about this topic because it's just like, it's just definitely needed. It is, and there's healthy ways to go about it, which is why we want to talk about it. Shamir brought it up on the way over. We were talking when I
last week though.
No, for sure. But I'm just saying, like when we were on our way back from picking you up,
coming to the studio.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we were just. We were talking about it. I was definitely a little bit rowdy because of certain situations.
Passionate.
Definitely passionate because it's just like, bro, like, we definitely got to talk about Puerto Rico. We definitely need to talk about different things. Did you want to start off with something so then I could get passionate about this topic?
Well, so like, obviously we try to keep our titles for each episode as short as possible. Sometimes we don't succeed in that, but sometimes we do. And with the original thought behind all of this, as we were coming up with topics, as we normally do, part of this concept for the title is, do people think the same? Right. And so I have a couple of things. The proper answer, right, is no, not everyone thinks the same. There are people that think similarly to you. Absolutely. Right. But there isn't people that think the same, because there's three things that kind of, express what thinking the same would be: perception, seeing, and uniqueness, right? Perception is the reality when people perceive reality differently because they each see the world through their own eyes. And I'm gonna add a little more to that, not just how they see the world through their eyes, but through the experience that they've had throughout their life, the way they grew up, the environment they were around, the people that surround them, all of that stuff. And that's where that perception comes in. Second one is seeing. Even the same person sees the same thing differently each time they look at it. And that is so true.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could see an environment and you might see something straight and the other person might actually see it a little crooked.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true.
And then lastly is uniqueness. No two people think exactly alike.
This is definitely part of the real, all this you just said here, because honestly, it's just like, bro, like, is that simple as you just explained it, man? It says so many words.
I mean, there's more to it than that, because it says, therefore, human beings do not think the same, because although our brains have the same primary goal to operate, our abilities to process, interpret, and comprehend data are vastly disparate.
The answer.
Well, there's more to it than that. That's just kind of the first part of it, but kind of the second half of where our title came in from is, should we respect people's responses? The logical choice, yes. The actual choice that people tend to make nowadays is absolutely no. No one cares to hear what you have to say if it goes against them.
Yeah.
But the actual answer is yes, we should respect people's responses because it can help build trust, strengthen relationships, and promote tolerance and understanding. We have to respect certain areas, opinions, feelings, differences, and of course others as a whole. I guess I'll read through it real quickly, right? Respecting your opinions even when you don't agree with the person. This means recognizing that others have a right to see the world differently, expecting to be heard when they share their views. That is super important, and we've talked about things like that before in previous episodes. We need to be able to respect people's points of views.
Right.
whether we agree with them or not. Their feelings, understanding and respecting others' feelings can help you build trust and strengthen relationships. It can also help you navigate conflicts and resolve issues more effectively. Then, respecting differences. That can help promote inclusivity and equity. It can help people feel valued and included in society, which can lead to more just and equitable society, meaning full of respect, professionalism, all of that stuff. And then, of course, respecting others. It's a self-reinforcing behavior that can help you feel connected to others. You'd be surprised that even through differences, you can connect with other people because you're just like, wow, it's so interesting how that particular other thinks, behaves. Oh, this makes sense. This is why they act the way they act or the way they express themselves all the time. Maybe it's a person who's aggressive all the time. Well, now you start seeing why they're aggressive all the time.
Right.
Or why they're super shy and very reserved. And these are things that we need to recognize. And when we recognize it too, not let our emotions drive our actions. Right. Especially when we don't agree with somebody, but rather, okay, I don't agree with you, but let me hear you out. Whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's, the economy, whether it's how, jobs function nowadays and all that other stuff. We need to be able to have more discussions together about these difficult situations. A lot of people try to avoid it, and by avoiding it, you can't accomplish anything to move forward. You just stay stagnant or go backwards.
I want to say something to everyone out there, especially right now with here in this nation, everything that's going on with the politicians and whatnot, and creating all this propaganda and everything that's going on right now is definitely creating distancing from one another, separation and division. And it doesn't matter which political party it is. We're talking about everybody right now because this is the point of this podcast, to include everyone as much as possible. I ask everyone to stay calm in the midst of all this, because let me tell you something from personal experience. What you give to life is going to give back to you. And that counts for anyone. It could be the richest people in the world that are controlling every single move that happens. It could be the poorest person on this planet. And there's nothing better than to understand that rich is not just meant to explain monetary funds. It's also what's in your brain and what's in your heart. And like Nabil just said, if you could learn to control your emotions in any situation, you're a master of anybody that's around you, and you're a master of yourself. We need to remain calm in these situations, because I feel like so many people are just so aggressive right now on social media.
Isn't that something interesting, right? When people kind of get super aggressive during the election year, it just gets more and more hostile the closer we get to it, and that's the unfortunate part.
It's crazy because like the riot that happened, I think last year or the year before at the it wasn't the White House, the
Pentagon?
No,
not the Pentagon.
Anyways, that big riot that they did, and then they were politicians getting around or whatever. One of the guys, they literally just sentenced him to a year because of the riot or whatever. If it was me, a guy like me rioting, guess what? I'd catch a life sentence.
The life sentence,
But it just depends who you are. Sadly, this nation, and I can't wait to leave this nation. I'm not going to lie to you. But in the meanwhile, I must be able to do my Good Samaritan works, which is like this podcast, obviously.
Being a law-abiding citizen.
Of course, do all these things, right? But realistically, they added that news to kind of just like tell people like, hey, you can't riot this much either, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to get 1 year in prison or in the county jail. And, they're kind of... the main... people have to see the tactics that these people are using. They're using, the word scare. They're using the word division. All these are in the talks of these people behind the scenes, right?
Well, behind the scenes, and also in political parties right in front of the camera too.
That too, and they're mocking. All these things are happening, but people have to recognize and be like, okay, are we going to control ourselves, or are we going to get out of control, which is what they want? Are we going to feed into what other people are doing? Because this is a great example, and I'm not going to say I don't act off impulse, because I do
We all have.
All the
Nobody's exempt from it.
I've controlled myself a lot, but I can't say like, hey, like we're gonna talk about this comedian now about what he spoke about Puerto Rico. I'm not gonna mention his name.
No need to.
Y'all
know.
Have I seen him? Let me be realistic. Let me be realistic with you guys, because I like to break it down well, so you guys see where my point of view is at. Has this guy made me laugh in the past? Yes.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Has this guy made me laugh in the past? Yes. Has this guy been recognized by many people as a comedian? This is his job. Yes. Okay. Now let's break it down what he said about Puerto Rico or whatever. Everybody's like, okay, he's saying Puerto Rico is trash, this and that. What I want to say is not everybody enjoys comedy. Not everybody takes a joke the same way. So,
which ties into our topic of the day.
Right. So when I see because what they don't understand too is that when this is Latinos in general, and you know it, they get together when they're under attack. When they feel offended or where they feel some type of way about something, they're gonna tighten up. And hopefully you have the balls to tighten up too when you say something out of your mouth, no matter who you are. Because
any particular nationality of some sort, if they are being disrespected, they all kind of come together. Whether it is the Hispanic community, the Black community,
you know, there's certain communities that don't get together and that are just as hypocritical and will backstab one another and everything else, and it's okay with them. You get what I'm saying? So it's not about color, it's not about race here. It's simply dissecting and explaining everything right now to everyone, so people could understand, right? So obviously there's certain Puerto Ricans and even people that aren't Puerto Ricans, Latinos or anybody in general that felt some type of way about his comments, and about the whole rally in general. Because if you see the rally, people are just promoting that because of the Puerto Ricans, but then it's like,
that's what stood out.
What about Mr. Cardone, Hulk Hogan, all these people that went over there to make a show too and talk about Palestine and talk about all these other things, and it just went right out one ear and into another and right out the other, right? And all these things have equal importance no matter what, because, you know, I feel like politicians nowadays are literally just taking it personal to each individual in society, to the point where now it's like you're causing internal havoc within this nation, to the point like, okay,
they're causing divide on purpose.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's just like, okay, so now it's like, okay, let's just arrest people, let's do all these things. You can't even protest at all, because now
for anything,
you know, whether you go to a university, whether you go to, you know, I've gone through so many disrespectful situations in my life, but I've dealt with them accordingly, whether if it was talking it out, whether if it was staying silent, whether if it was using violence, because I know how to do all of them. You know what I'm saying? I don't use the violence one anymore, because obviously I have to be a law-abiding citizen. If not, I'm going straight to prison.
Right.
That's just how the system works here. That's why I can't wait to leave this country, because it's garbage. Like you can't. The freedom of speech is not a thing anymore.
No, it's very limited. I think
it never has been. It's just it's like anything. People will promise you, but it's like, if you're not part of their group, or if you're not part of that situation or that political party, guess what? You're out of the game. You know, you're getting benched. So I think I'm gonna give my personal opinion on the comedian. That was definitely a publicity stunt. I believe that they
100%.
Was he dead ass about it? Yes, I think so too. In comparison to like everything that he does, and I've seen his comedy before, so I know that
it's a bit of that dry humor, and honestly, like, just,
it was definitely there.
Do you feel like, because I've seen past comedians talk about the reasons why they said something that could end up being controversial, whether it's a racist comment, whether it's a sexual comment, whatever, and then a lot of times they'll explain themselves. Well, no, what I was trying to say is this, or, you know, people are too sensitive, I feel I should say nowadays especially, I feel like certain comedians do not know they don't care to cross a line. Mm-hmm. They're just like, this is part of my bit, and whoever takes it, great, and whoever doesn't, well, it's just like, too bad.
Right. Yeah.
And the problem is, it's not even about the fact that, oh, whoever doesn't vibe with my joke, it is what it is. No, now you're just causing even more of a stir. And then if somebody threatens you, oh, the person that threatened you is the bad guy.
Is a criminal, right?
Why?
Yeah.
Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
And we're not trying to get super political or anything in this episode, but what we're talking about is reality.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is things that we all need to be aware of and work on it.
Yeah.
Do better, right? This is one of the whole...
Out of a million jokes there is in the world, right? You want to pop a joke that is offensive towards another person. And again, it's
not just a one person, it's a whole society, yeah.
Right. And then it's just like, you know, my point is to my what did I really feel about it? It definitely squeezed my heart. It took a lot out of me, what he said. I want to explain something too. I was born in Pennsylvania, so was he.
Yep.
Out of 13 colonies that originated from the state. And I've still had people say, hey, I'm going to call ICE on you and all these things. And it's just like, bro, I was born in Pennsylvania, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you talking about,
that,
bro?
Yeah.
Like, you were probably born in one of these southern states that ain't got nothing going on. You know what I'm saying? And hey, I don't say nothing about that. You get what I'm saying? I respect, okay, you want to say, okay, ICE, well, bro, I know where I was born. I know what I got going on in my life. You know what I'm saying? Just because my color complexion or how I look is already determining, like, you're just a poor-minded person, and good luck for you out there that you might not find that person that decides to just cap you or do something crazy. And guess what? That's another thing. Let's talk about violence real quick. When you provoke people in different ways depending on what you say, how you say it, your demeanor, facial expressions, everything. We're breaking it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get mad that somebody, or you call the proper authorities when somebody threatens you, and it's just like, you know what? There's a difference between a threat and somebody actually really about to do something. Because a threat is something you say but you don't do. And actually an action of somebody going to hurt you or do something crazy, you got to see, and hopefully this comedian, hopefully everybody and any political party that has offended each other holds themselves accountable when something happens to them, if anything happens. You get what I'm saying? Mm. Assassination attempt, threats over the phone, social media, all these things. You ever ask yourself why these things are happening? Because I don't get anybody calling me on my phone saying, hey, you better watch out what you got going on the podcast or anything like that, because we might just do you. I don't have anybody coming to my door to do anything crazy because they know better on top of that. You know what I'm saying?
But let's say somebody did threaten you because of something you're saying, okay. Let's say in just this episode. Like, what do?
Well,
celebrities deal with it constantly.
Right.
Political parties deal with it too.
So there's a difference when you have bodyguards and when you don't. You get what I'm saying? Like, these people, they say these things on the camera and everything because they have half of New York City's police department in there. They have half of all these people. I don't care who's around. If I'm going to say something to you, I'm going to say something to you. You know what I'm saying? And we're not here to promote violence, but we have to talk about it. And if somebody were to threaten me, the way I would deal with it is I'll be calm and collective, and I'll be like, okay, you know what? This is how you feel. Okay, good. And then I would deal with it accordingly when the person leaves or decides to, you know.
But that's the problem.
I'm not. You know, because let's say if they come with a gun in their hand or something, you know what I'm saying?
But that's different, though. Right. A lot of times when people are being threatened, these political people and all that other stuff, it's through messages. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do it to your face.
Yeah, I probably would just ignore the text. But if I know who it is, then I would definitely deal with it accordingly.
You would address them.
Yeah. But I wouldn't make it where it's like, okay, I'm texting them back, I'm calling them, I'm meeting up in person. If you're like literally texting me like death threats or something like that or hurting my family. You know,
that's on a whole another level though. If they're
but I mean, these people definitely get those things,
of course,
sadly. But I mean, I think that everyone that talks out of their mouth, the point of this podcast today is literally you got to hold yourself accountable with what comes out of your mouth. And if you think that certain things don't affect other people that come out of your mouth, and or you just simply don't care, you're a poor human being. You're a poor human being. And I'm saying this on this podcast right now because you should be holding yourself accountable with what you say out of your mouth. When I used to run around in the street and do all these things, I knew what I said and what I didn't say. And if I didn't care, it's because I know I was going to take it all the way to violence to wherever it went to. You get what I'm saying? But I'm holding myself accountable of like, well, I'm taking it there, so hopefully they get there too. Now, if we're going to talk like civilians and we're not talking about death threats or anything of the street or whatever, let's talk it out. Let's hear each other out.
That's how it should be. That's the whole point.
Let's have discussions.
And that's not being ignorant too. Because some people will be like, wow, that's just super ignorant. We don't live in that kind of world. We don't live in that kind of the world because we're not choosing to.
Exactly.
Here's the reality. We don't live in a world where it's the entire world. That's just like my day-to-day stuff does not involve the entire world. My world is literally my circle of the people around me, whether it's at work, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's right here in our podcast studio. That's my world. And so I am in control of the outcome of what happens within this studio right now based off of what I say, what I do, and what I don't do. And you guys are too. So that's no excuse. The fact that you're saying, oh, that's not our reality. That's your reality then, because you're making it be all negative and you want to just go ahead and attack people and not reap the consequences.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is what you say or what you do is going to be the outcome of what happens around you.
Also, I always remember that there's a pressure gauge with when you say something out of your mouth. You better be willing to hold what's coming back from anybody that you confront or anything you say.
Yeah.
Again, this is all about accountability and how we go about it. At this point, everybody's disrespecting everybody. So it's like, how do we control this? Well, someone's got to push back and say, you know what? There's got to be another way than talking about this, because, when we were on our way over here, I'm like, you know what? Nabil and I were literally just saying, hey, just history repeats itself.
It really does.
Sadly, there's just a lot of things that just keep repeating itself, and humanity and all these people that think because that's another thing. A lot of people, they like to offend people by saying, oh, they have a low IQ. Bro, who cares about IQ? Like, who really cares about IQ?
IQ,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That is just a poor concept of people that just want to offend how smart you are. But it's like, okay, you know what? The real smart person is when it comes to survival, when it comes to, there's basic no power, stuff. There's nothing going on.
How are you going to make it through?
How are you going to make it through? And I guarantee most of these people are going to go underground and be like, well, we ain't got much going on here, so we're going to have to...
Let's put it this way. Here's an easy example. There was a celebrity, which I'm not going to put them on blast, but there was a celebrity on TV that had a reality show that they didn't even know how to use a microwave.
Right, yeah.
Then they eventually learned how to use a microwave. My question to you guys is, if the power goes out and you have no microwave to heat up your food, what are you going to do?
You know what I would do?
What would you do, Shamir?
Bro, I would just leave it inside the hot car.
That's one way to do it.
Just let it
But what if it's a hurricane?
Well,
there ain't no heat. And I'm definitely not going to the car.
One thing about it, I'll
unless
eat
you got a garage.
when I'm hungry. I'll eat anything when I'm hungry.
That's it. It doesn't matter about the temperature.
I don't like this. I don't like that. Listen.
When it comes to survival,
they're talking about concentration camps out here. They're talking about all types of things that can happen in this nation. So my question to you, and this is the final question I'm going to make in this season of this podcast, which is, are you ready? Are you prepared mentally and physically for what's to come, whether it does happen or doesn't? One thing about it is that after this Hurricane Milton passed here in Florida, I just saw that was like the final point blank period of me seeing how many people cannot go without.
Survive?
People can't survive.
People can't survive without toilet paper.
Dude, it's like, seriously, you can't just jump in the shower and wash your ass. Straight up. You can't do these things.
There's the toilet wipes. Those are glorious.
What if there's not that?
Well, then there's your socks, your shirt.
Leaves on the tree because it's cold out there.
Yeah, right.
What if...
bottles of water and just...
What if there's not bottles of water? There's just a little puddle over there of water.
I guess you're cleaning yourself with that puddle of water.
Exactly. But these people... this country has you know, I guess spoiled people is the word.
Oh yeah, we've all been spoiled, of course.
But still, I know how to go without. Me personally,
that's because we've also been without. In your case, when you were locked up, you were without.
With COVID masks on that were made out of cloth thicker than
like
this pants I have
kind of, yeah. Was it this kind of material?
Yeah, something.
I think it was a little thicker from what.
Yeah, it was terrible, but
yeah, it was bad.
Everyone just prepare, but do it in a peaceful manner where you just maneuver the Subaru and lay low, like I always say. Just prepare, work. Go somewhere else if you can. If you want to stay here in the States, hey, go somewhere that's rural or somewhere where you're away from society. It's social media.
Sometimes that is important.
Just like all these things. Like, go vote if you need to vote. I encourage people to vote. I think that anybody that wants to talk about politics needs to go vote if they want to talk about politics.
Yeah.
Or if they want to be political.
And listen, you can go vote and not tell anybody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
This is another thing I want to say too about like racism and stuff like that. I think racism it could be a satisfaction of two people, which is the one that said it in a positive manner, like, "Hi, I hurt this person," and the satisfaction of the negative, which is the person that received the comment and them feeling offended about it, right? But it could also be a one-way road where this guy said something out his mouth and I just shut him up, and then by saying nothing, and he's like, I got away with it. But did you really? Because you didn't get that internal satisfaction of that person feeling offended.
Yeah.
So I think that everybody that's out there when it comes to racism, like I've had people call me, wetback spick and everything else. Especially when I was in prison too, the prison guards will tell you anything.
Even at our previous job, there was a lot of that too.
For sure. How are you going to deal with the situation? How are you guys gonna get through these situations? Are you really going to let them offend you, or are you going to maneuver in a different way where at some point in your life you're just like, I'm done with all these problems because I'm not dealing with all that havoc in the city and all those things that are going on in that country or whatever. I'm not encouraging everybody to leave. Just simply, like let's say, okay, immigration and all these things too, right? Oh, go back, because that was another comment that he said about
right
immigrants. Like, hey, I receive you with open
arms. It was
arms.
just a comment that just wasn't.
It's just like, bro, like that was. I didn't laugh at that one because that one wasn't even a good joke, but with open arms, like, bro, like open arms is like this right here is like you're being arrested or go back, like, bro, like terrible. But anyways, when it comes to immigration, all your ancestors are immigrants because there was not a single
at this point I feel every single nationality has a mix now.
Yeah,
that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and then it's just like you're over here, feeling entitled to say whatever you want because you're a certain race. Like, bro, you got the same extremities. Now, if you had like 4 legs, 10 arms, and like 3 heads, bro, then I'd be like, you know what? I think I gotta listen to what this guy's saying because this guy might be onto something crazy. He could hurt me a lot more than I could hurt him. Right. So, but bro, same extremities, same thing is, I think that the division has just been because they have nothing else to shoot at each other.
The division part of it too is how much weight we're adding to people's words.
For sure.
Words, certain actions, lack thereof. And I mean, I'm not exempt from it. Sometimes I add certain weight to certain words that,
for sure,
that are triggering.
I'm not saying that I don't, and I'm not saying that I've gotten better. I have, but it all depends how you wake up too. Are you waking in a good mood or in a groggy mood where I don't want to hear anybody, and anybody that says something crazy
probably didn't get enough sleep, or
whatever. But we're all human at the end of the day, and I think that the main thing we should practice is respect. Is let's respect one another. Like, bro, like we're not gonna see eye to eye all the time, but bro, like, let's coexist. Let's just get along until, you know what I'm saying, a certain period of time. I move, you move, or whatever. Because I guarantee you, bro, if the United States was sinking in any manner, like water would cover most of it at some point. These people would leave this damn country behind too and just go somewhere else. So it's like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if there's life in space in another planet or something and they want to go over there, great for you guys. You know, hopefully you make it through. Hopefully just remember something. The only guaranteed thing we have in life, and we spoke about it in another podcast. So good luck, Fonzie. Yeah, that's all I have to say in regards to these things.
The point of all this too, right? To kind of bring it all back and put a nice little bow on it, if you will. Reel it in. Is the importance of why we need to respect people's opinions. It fosters an environment of respect and civility. When we demonstrate respect for others' opinion, even if we disagree, it sets a tone of mutual regard and thoughtfulness. This can build a stronger relationship and community. It allows for the free exchange of ideas without any criticism.
For sure.
So, friends, this is probably going to be short and sweet, but at the end of the day, we had to speak about all of this stuff. Yeah. We had to bring it and make all of you aware of it. Whether you agree with it or disagree, that is fine. Just tell us what you think about it in the comment section below. If you have nothing to say, just keep it to yourself, because you're wasting your time. We're just going to laugh at it and probably delete it.
Delete it, yeah.
We just don't even have time for any of that stuff. Why? Because it's just weightless.
Yeah.
We don't thrive off of that. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? If you want to cuss us out, if you want to insult us, have at it.
One thing I'll go to sleep well when it comes to religion, all these things as well, to cover religion real quick too. Mm-hmm. Whatever your political view, whatever your belief is, you know, I was talking to a Muslim brother the other day, you know. Mm-hmm. Bro, you're Muslim and I believe in Christianity, but we get along so well, dude. And we respect each other's points of view. Every time he talks about his stuff or I talk about my, bro, there's nothing there of criticism, bro. It's just like, bro, that's it. Like, that's it. Like, why?
Why overdo it?
Yeah, why put...
It's like a triggering thing, and I don't know why that is. Because I hear a lot of people constantly talking about politics around me, and I dislike it. But at the same time, I know I can't turn a blind eye to it completely. I have to know. I have to know about political things going around me, because it's in the country that we're living in. We can't be ignorant. If we're so ignorant, it's just like...
And politics is in every country you go to, so it's like it's still part of our life.
And it's imperfect everywhere you go, but...
You know, because anything you do in society nowadays has to do with politics, taxes,
medical stuff,
being a law-abiding citizen, and all these things. So it's just like we have to talk about it to a certain extent.
Yeah,
I know there's certain people that are just fanatics that are they'll talk about it like it's sports.
They idolize it too much. That's where it becomes super toxic.
Yeah,
I remember going to a meeting recently 2 weeks ago, and they were talking to the person who was speaking, and they're like, what are your thoughts on having a discussion with this group of people that are present, whether it's this week or actually that topic of conversation was supposed to be today, but I couldn't make it today, unfortunately. So maybe I'll have to check it out online. But they were like, it pisses me off that at this type of place that we're at, having these conversations, no one's talking about the importance of voting.
Right.
And it pisses me off that they're not talking about it so much more. I was like, okay, I get it, but you're being a little too passionate about the fact that, listen, at the end of the day, it's being promoted through text messages, emails, ads and commercials, and all that other stuff. If they're not talking about why you should or shouldn't go vote, why is that your concern?
Right.
The people who want to vote will vote, and the people who don't want to vote won't vote. The reality is, if, let's say, I don't go and vote, they'll be like, well, Nabil, you don't have the right to say how this country should or shouldn't run. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. I don't care, but that's my choice. If I do decide to go vote, then I have the reason to go ahead and express why, or, you know, things should be one way or another, because I went ahead and voiced my opinion. And people need to understand that and just not judge if they decide to go and vote or not. That's not even your problem. You don't live with that person.
Right.
Like, And that's what makes people also kind of clash heads and stuff like that. We could go on and on and on. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, it's all good. I just, keep it calm, everyone.
Yeah.
Keep it chill. If something is bothering you, do something about it. Whether
try and do something healthy that'll help you out.
Right. But if you got to leave the country, go ahead and do that. If you want to stay, you got to deal with what's in here.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you see the American dream as a positive and you want to succeed and make money and all that stuff, that's a great thing. But you also got to understand there's a lot of negative that comes with this country. Like anywhere you go in this planet, anything you do, there's pros and cons. So if you don't understand that concept, well, guess what? It's life. You're going to have to understand it by obligation or willingly. Right. Yeah. So, we love you guys. We really thank you guys for sticking with us for 2 whole seasons.
Especially this episode. This one was a tough one.
We're definitely, we ended it in a little bit of a strong manner, but we had to. It's definitely not because it's the trending topic, but because it's hurting a lot of people. I see a lot of people are becoming depressed, stressed, scared. All these negative things. So I want to bring we want to bring a little bit of positivity to you guys and
how we can work through it.
Yeah, and break it down. Break these things down.
Yeah,
things that have less importance, throw them to one side, and the things that actually have importance, kind of like deal with it accordingly. Don't think that this is something that is gonna last forever. Always remember problems come, but it's like anything else. You know what I'm saying? I give this example all the time. When I was in the life of crime, people were like, "Okay, money goes super fast when you're in the life of crime," but guess what? It goes just as fast when you're paying bills and you're living
100% a good life, yeah.
So, but my point is anecdote is just literally, there's always going to be pros and cons.
Yeah.
And things will go just as fast or just as slow. So, don't think that one thing is heavier than another when it really isn't,
Correct.
I think the only thing we could do with that is like physical objects or anything that's tangible has weight, obviously, but anything within the mental or internal being, it's all about how you deal with it. It's all about what your mindset is.
Yep.
And these times of trial is where we better ourselves or become worse. So I think this is a challenge. And in my faith, I believe that God's putting these challenges on the planet to see where we're at mentally, how we're reacting, and what we're going to continue to do or stop doing. So be diligent about those things, guys.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the ringle dingle dingle. Follow us on all our social platforms.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to be pushing this podcast this week because it's definitely we're going into November now very soon, and election day is coming up very soon.
It is,
and we want people to be on point. When you go to the polls or where you're voting through mail or however, that you keep a peaceful mindset.
Absolutely.
Or at least a controlled mindset. So yeah, again, thank you guys for tuning in for the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Or season 3 will be coming out next week.
Ooh.
And yeah, we're just gonna keep on pushing, rowing the boat. Hopefully, you guys could hop on and row the boat with us.
Yeah.
And we could get somewhere to some type of I was gonna say commonality, but
that's
coexistence.
Yeah.
And become happier and more tranquil people on a daily basis, and to be able to progress mentally and physically and all of the above.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We love you, and it'll be until next season. See y'all next season.
Take care.
Bye.